Hockey playoff series are arguably some of the greatest forms of entertainment in sport, and part of that probably has to do with the amount of emotion that goes into each and every playoff game in hockey. But one of the coolest things to me is how after 4 to 7 games of trying to kill each other for a series win, the two teams line up and shake each other's hands in an acknowledgement of each other's effort. About 99% of the time, this handshake line is filled with huge respect where the players put aside their past battles and accept their outcomes. But where did this hockey tradition come from? Well, the furthest back that an on-ice handshake between opponents took place in hockey history was on January 2nd, 1908, during a charity game that fielded the Montreal Wanderers against some other professional players that were put together on a single team. The charity game was hosted to support the widow of Hod Stewart, a player that had previously played for the Wanderers before, but unfortunately passed away in a diving accident. This was also considered the first ever All-Star game in professional hockey history, since the team playing against the Wanderers were all considered very good and they all played for their own separate teams. After the game, the two stars of each side, Art Ross for the Wanderers and Frank Patrick of the Eastern Canadian All-Stars, got together to shake hands on the ice. And while this might sound insignificant, this did kickstart the tradition, even though it's not what we're used to seeing. After this, it became more familiar, with players going to handshake single players that they already knew after important games. This was more like a hello to their friends. But it's believed that the birth of the playoff handshake line that we're so familiar with seeing began to be an expectation in the 1920s. The only proof that we have of this is from word of mouth, unfortunately, from players who had started at the time who had said that the players would line up after playoff games and thank each other. No one really asked why, they just kind of did it because everyone else was doing it. But from the cases that were said, this does line up with the time period of starting after that 1908 game. So there you have it. It started from an event that brought out the best in a lot of hockey players. And after a couple decades, the custom had evolved into what we expect to see these days. So after 100 years of handshakes, let's hope for 100 more in the playoffs to come. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.